Good morning. Revolutionizing human health. I hope I'm sharing this mission here with a few more people in the audience who consider that part of their mission on the daily basis. Yeah, quite a few. So how are we going to do it? These days, the healthcare system, so-called, is really a sick care system. We only go meet a physician when we start to have some symptoms, which often, in some serious diseases, it's too late. Can we transition into a preventive healthcare that can really enable us to accelerate treatment, to catch things early enough so we can take action and actually cure things? How do we get there? There are two key components we try to achieve. We try to accumulate knowledge in something we call knowledge base, and then translate it to a proof of concept of what you can do with this information as a preventive healthcare, something we call the health nucleus. It's a research clinic we establish. But let's start from the basics. What are we trying to do in human longevity? There are different pieces that needs to come together. To start with, on the biology side, we collect genomics data and other omics. We link it to a very high quality, standardized, curated phenotypic data, which we believe is the key that must accommodate any genome or any omics information that we collect. And then basically linking to this amazing compute power that all the audience here are experts in, with the inflection point in the value and performance of machine learning to tap on this integrated information and extract knowledge, which then can be queried in the knowledge base and linked to a deeper clinical insights, and ideally for acceleration of the development of therapeutics in a personalized way that really link to your specific profile of omics information and phenotypic information. And as such, we were really trying 2 years ago when we were established not to reinvent the wheel, basically license everything that is mature enough for us to just do it. Let's just focus on the differentiation. The challenge was on every piece and every niche that we were trying to just adopt, just license, it seems that it was not ready for prime time on the scale we want to operate. So let's start with the basics. We were hoping just to outsource sequencing. Yet there was not a single system out there, including the providers of the sequencing machines, that could operate on the scale that we want to operate, and it's just ready to turn on the light. So we end up building the largest sequencing facility in the world in terms of throughput to have it in-house, to have full control on the quality and the full production pipeline. And then we say, OK, a lot of the analytics should be mature enough by now on the scale we want to operate. And we start to benchmark multiple solutions. And, well, how many solutions out there are ready to integrate genomics, microbiome, metabolomics, different elements with the phenotypic data, link it to clinical records? Guess what? There were many partners that wanted to develop it with us, but there was not really one that, hey, let's just use it. So we end up putting a lot of effort on building something there, which we'll talk in a second. And once we have this information and have the knowledge base, how many clinics out there can actually use this information to make a review of your health and take action on? Not too many systems out there, just on the informatics side, not speaking about element of training and education of a team of physicians that can actually get value from this information. So we took an end-to-end accountability on data generation, data analysis, and then translate it to care right now under an IRB and a research protocol. And we collaborate with the different industries from government, pharmas, insurance companies, and hospitals. We are tapping on a unique time point that we are all at right now, which is really the convergence of multiple elements. One is, we all know the cost of sequencing is getting lower and lower, and the quality is getting better and better. Let's sequence finally in this scale. And then computational power, finally, thanks to cloud computing and other hardware acceleration, it's in a stage that we can actually analyze close to real time, large scale of genomics data and make real-time insight. We then tap on the machine learning. But all this will not be of value if we'll not link to another element which the overall health system is moving towards, which is the value-based care. People really try to now understand that the systemic approach or the average patient doesn't work. We have to really move into specific added value of everything we do and link it to the personalized care. So we established multiple sites. Our headquarters is in San Diego, where the sequencing facility is, and most of the people. We have a small site in Mountain View focused on machine learning. We established a team of around 30 bioinformaticians and software engineers in Singapore, focused on Asian population, preventive, basically prevalent diseases that are in Asia, from cancer and other diseases, as we build the knowledge base, as we want it to be a diverse amount of genomics from multiple ethnicities, and then establish collaboration across the globe. And the most recently, we acquired a small company in New Jersey, which is the LifeBank USA. This is a biobanking for placental stem cell. And this has been operated for quite a while, but now we are going to introduce the genomics element of characterization of placental stem cell, which can link to a newborn offering, which is coming soon. So first, let's talk about the sequencing facility. We have the 24 of individual machines of the Illumina X10, so the 2.4 X10 if you want. And there is the old version, the 2500, which we run initially a lot of the microbiome, which now can run on the HiSeq 10 as well. There's the 4000, and we have 2-pack biomachine. We are technology agnostics. We'll use in terms of what provide the highest quality, the cost efficiency, and there are complementary technologies combining the short reads with the long read when required. So basically have a comprehensive view of a genome and all the elements. Our throughput roughly reach out 40,000 whole genome per year. And our moonshot goal is to have 1 million integrated health record. And these are 1 million whole genome with the phenotypic data and ideally microbiome and metabolomics data that will build this knowledge base. We collaborate, as I mentioned, with multiple partners, with pharmaceutical companies, under the concept that we believe in the future, it will be required to run the whole genome on every patient on a clinical trial before you take any action. This needs to be an insight that you have on every patient that you start working with. So more and more pharmaceutical companies try to start to subscribe to this notion and pilot on a large scale of the value of this element, whether it's for the specific understanding of the hypothesis that you're testing or for companion diagnostics later on that will be developed. And we collaborate with academic institutions that have large cohorts already of samples and then work into high throughput analysis of the omics and the phenotypic data. And Discovery Health, it's a health insurance company based in South Africa and is operating also in the UK. And in our view, they're a very visionary health insurance company that we all should learn from and adopt across the industry and in the US. In the last 20 years, they have a program called Vitality. And what they do, they incentivize their customers to be healthy. They'll pay for your gym membership. They'll pay for your organic fruits and groceries. They'll find different elements to incentivize you simply to live healthy. And based on 20 years of data, they now show that those that subscribe to this optional program, this is not a screening program, should you become a member of us or not. Once you're a member, it's optional for you to sign up. If you sign up, it's that simple, you live 6 years longer. And you have much less medical claims and hospitalization. So it's a win-win. You live longer, you pay longer the premium to the health insurance, and you have less expense for the health insurance. And now, this mindset sounds so simple, but you can imagine the culture shift that is required in our insurance industry to actually adopt it and how to reduce overall costs for the system and extend the life. Now, with their visionary approach, they are adopting whole exome and whole genome as an offering part of this program. So now for all these customers, they can sign up and get their genome done as a preventive measure and risk assessment that we will learn with them together how to utilize and incentivize health. So as we establish such collaboration, And remember that our model is not, we are not a fee-for-service sequencing facility. It's not about you send us your sample, you get your data, that's it. You only send us your sample if you subscribe to the notion that the only way to enable discoveries in the large scale that we need to do is for you, let's say you have 1,000 diabetes patients, samples of 1,000 diabetes patients. If the knowledge base had, let's say, 50,000 more diabetes patients, high-quality phenotypic data genomes, wouldn't you want to have a look and test your hypothesis and learn from it? Everybody does. But that means that you're also willing to contribute your data there to be part of this knowledge base, because it will benefit others and will enable you as well as things are correlated with this information. And this is with full attention to privacy and security and all elements of what should be in such knowledge base and what not. And as such, we start to establish this multidimensional knowledge base that not only has multiple therapeutic areas, healthy people, aging people, different cohorts with different diseases with high-quality phenotypic data, we start to get the insight with the key, as was mentioned earlier, with the key element of bioinformatics and machine learning for these insights. So if we just look for a second, it says they're twins. King's College in London, Tim Spector's cohort, the largest twins cohort in the world in the last 20 years, constantly longitudinal data have been collected. We now have on thousands of twins from the last 20 years of tracking, whole genome, metabolomics, microbiome, and the phenotypic data. And different people within these twins, sometimes both of the twins and sometimes one of the twins, develop different diseases. So you can imagine that such cohorts start to contribute to different therapeutic areas because you follow them since healthy childhood to adulthood. And then on the other side, there is some specific non-alcoholic fatty liver disease that we study in depth microbiome impact. So each of those cohorts eventually comes together to provide us insight both on longevity as a whole, because all these diseases are part of this element of longevity. We establish a production pipeline, detect the sequence, clearly store it. We are 100% cloud-based. We do all of our analysis on AWS. So as soon as the raw data from the sequencer comes out, it's been pushed to the cloud, encrypted and fast. And then all the downstream analysis is done on the cloud in centralized location. All our global sites can access it. And we, so far, with more than 20,000 whole genome. And when we say whole genome, let's remember 3.2 billion base pair per every person that is there in the analysis. It generates, to start with, around 8 petabytes of data so far. And this is just the beginning. Remember the moonshot goal, 1 million of such records. So we establish a pipeline that can be scalable to really operate not only on the scale, but on the speed we need. And I will comment on the speed in a second. Now, we also focus both financially and time for the idea that we know that the algorithm we use today will be obsolete very soon. So we have, as we accumulate the data, including the raw data, not just the downstream data, we calculate for recompute of the full database at least once a year. And that's what we did, for example. Just take simple thing. How many of you had the pain of transforming from AG19 to AG38 as a reference genome? What does it mean to recalculate with a new reference genome that also has dependency on all the sources of annotation that we are all dealing with day to day? So we have all this informatics pipeline and operation that can handle such full recompute of a knowledge base, getting into updated reference, and yet have very good version control that you can go back and track what's been discovered on a previous version. All these systems today are not off the shelf, and we need to get all of us better in providing such solutions so it will not be such a major effort just to set it up. Let's focus on the downstream, which is then the interpretation and the biological. And then we can apply different predictions, and prediction can be your age. So we know about the telomere length, but now you can imagine how much data we have on telomere length on these genomes, and how can we correlate it to age. We now have a better understanding. It's not a perfect predictor, but we have a better understanding of where do you as an individual sits in a distribution of telomere lengths comparing to age. So is your genomics age older or younger than your birth age? So we look on such prediction, including, of course, disease risks and different models that we are trying to assess, drug response. And then there is one element which is cool until you also start to go deep, what does it mean? But we actually can take your whole genome and predict your face. Now, it's simple, right? All our features included in our genome. So why can't we do that? So we start to develop and tap on this information. And we did the study. We recruited within 2 weeks 1,000 people that came into our office in San Diego. We took a 3D images from a system of multiple cameras that enabled basically all the measurement. We quantified your face. And then we took medical history, whole genome, these elements. And now we start to teach the machine learning, how can you predict a face? Are we perfect there? Far from perfect. Are we really in a much more advanced stage than we were before we started? Absolutely. Now, the implications are really important. Well, you can think about the potential market. Just think about the forensic industry. If you have a piece of hair in a crime scene, you can start to predict who was it, right? But put this aside. There is a huge implication on the privacy. How many here believe that whole genomes should be deposited to the public domain, full access to everybody? OK, that's a change from a few years ago. But really, what it means that, as you know, our genome is the ultimate identifier. It's your medical records and everything else. And not only that, it actually tells a lot about your relatives. So the genome has a lot of information. We have to treat it with respect, with privacy, with understanding how we provide access to the data and what can be done with it. Now, we build a knowledge base. And one of the key features that allow you to do the analysis of your interest is simply what we call the dynamic cohort builder. So out of the thousands of genomes and phenotypic data, you can now start in a click of a button, slice and dice. I want all the males above 50 that have a cardiovascular disease, but that did not have a heart attack yet, but do not take statin as well. So can you start to analyze and see what is your cohort of interest? And you can play with it, and then link it to information that is available from the whole knowledge base, which let's say allele frequency, which is of value. But now you can have a real-time calculation of allele frequency on your cohorts, thanks to the compute power that we now develop. Then you can integrate it with the microbiome data. We do a full metagenome of the microbiome. So many microbiome solutions are there focused on the 16S gene. We do the full metagenome that enable you to understand subspecies of your population, as well as how do they interact with a different pathway and the overlap. I don't know how many of us know here, but roughly 10% of the metabolites running right now in your blood are originated from your microbiome. And there are more and more papers that find the link, not only for infectious disease clearly, but for cardiovascular, neuroscience disease that are triggered by different microbiome populations. And we can do stool, saliva, skin microbiome. And basically, we don't have time now to go into details, but just thinking about the integration of this information, yesterday we had some demo on that. Now let's link it to cancer. And this was very high level in terms of cohorts, large sample. Now we start to offer a comprehensive cancer solution that focus on multidimensional view of the whole genome of the tumor, your germline, RNA-seq, immunoseq. And we have, unfortunately, late-stage patients coming in after all standard of care fail, and we start to analyze this in detail. In this specific case of a head and neck cancer case, it was immediately clear that the person will not be responsive to immunotherapy and checkpoint therapy, which he was on such clinical trial. Unfortunately, this individual passed away while we were analyzing the data. And if we just had this information before. But then we have such cases that we could really step in the right time. This lady, 42 years old, with advanced stages of colon cancer, got 3 weeks to live by her oncologist. 3 weeks, after everything else failed. And when something like this comes in, everybody in the company focus on what do we need to do to generate this data in no time, around the clock, tapping on 24/7 cycle across time zones. How do we really deal with it? We analyzed the data. We gave an element of recommendation to the oncologist of the drug that will work on the specific mutation on this tumor. And she's now in full remission. And now we take on a weekly basis liquid biopsy to make sure nothing comes back, nothing relapses. And it is this domain of bio-IT that comes to a stage that is not just enabler, it's in the front line that every second counts. Every second of compute, it's not just about the gadget or the cool algorithm that, yes, let's do it faster. It's actually life depends on this speed. And we have to continue and improve this and move into real-time analysis. Now, taking all this information, these are people who already has the symptoms. So if we go to the first concept of preventive health and take the apparently healthy individuals that come into our health nucleus, I'm sure you're familiar with the circles of death that basically tell us here's the percentage of your risk of death if you're above 50. Can we really shrink this percentage by preventive health? Can we combine genomics, your family history, very detailed imaging data? We do full body MRI, and then we quantify the results. Because right now, what is the standard MRI interpretation? It's an expert radiologist that provides text on the finding. But we apply different algorithms and segmentation so we can quantify not only the brain and find your distribution of the hippocampus size, for example, and how does it predict for Alzheimer, but we can do segmentation of the full body and integrate it with the DEXA analysis of body fats and so on. Now, what it does, it basically creates the next generation of integrated health records. Right now, when you're used to the paper document of health records, what do we get? Around 3 gigs of data that is in different silos. We try to bring it all, including your whole genome, in an electronic health record, medical records that include your genome, and you can browse it. And then we built an app that allows you to browse your medical history. And just like when you update, we'll download and update an app from the App Store, you will get a constant update of the annotation and the knowledge that we acquire once you have your medical records. It will be your standard tool that you'll go for every physician and start to browse it. So yesterday we demoed some of it. So this is, in essence, what we try to do. There is a lot more to do. And I'll try to summarize it in a short 2-minute video.
If we can predict and know at birth or even before birth our risk of cancer, of heart disease, of dementia, of different genetic diseases at a stage where you might be able to do something about them even before they occur, that's going to be a whole paradigm shift in medicine.
When Craig Venter and his team first sequenced the human genome in 2000, it cost $100 million and 9 months to complete. Today, it's possible to sequence the human genome for $1,000, making accessible this potentially life-saving technology. HumanLongevity Inc. is the largest genome sequencing facility in the world. Here, Dr. Craig Venter and his team of scientists and healthcare experts are working to sequence thousands of genomes every month.
Right now, medicine is driven by your symptoms. Trying to understand diseases before they occur has never been part of the medical establishment. Our goal is trying to deal with diseases across the spectrum. So if we can make cancer predictable and more treatable, and heart disease predictable and preventable, by doing that, we'll increase the lifespan of those people.
The Health Nucleus is HLI's first health center. Here, clients received individualized services, including advanced genomics and other omic measures, combined with advanced laboratory testing, such as comprehensive body MRI. The Nucleus creates a model for precision medicine, monitoring wellness and treating disease before it occurs.
We've established academic and private sector collaborations that are at the very leading edge of ways to image the human body. This assembly of clinical testing is not available anyplace else in the world.
So we can predict the future with a combination of the MRI imaging and the genome. If you have cancer, we can find a tumor if it's larger than 2 millimeters anywhere in the body. We can now sequence here the genome of the tumor, find out which genes are mutated, and that helps you know which drug to use by which genes are mutated. That's what we talk about with precision medicine. So it's an exciting phase, and that's what we're trying to drive here in a big way.
The comprehensive data collected in the health nucleus will become part of HLI's broad knowledge base. This knowledge base will guide research and improve clinical trials worldwide.
The knowledge base, it will be the largest database of its kind. We want to translate that language of biology in the form of the sequence data into a form that doctors and other health professionals can use. And as we work with clients, each relationship with the primary care physician is to train, educate, and inspire those physicians about this next frontier in the practice of medicine.
Aging is the single biggest risk factor for virtually every significant human disease. The goal at HumanLongevity Inc. is to change the face of aging. It's not just a long life we're striving for, but one which is worth living.
I believe strongly in empowering people to have control of their own lives by having this knowledge. I'm hoping we're just getting started. We're trying to show that knowledge is power and will enable lots and lots of success stories.
I just want to share with you that 30% of the apparently healthy individuals that come now on a daily basis to the health nucleus have significant findings, life-saving findings that we immediately take action on with a physician and specialist. So 30% of us here have significant findings that we have no idea, and if we wait 10 years for the symptoms, it may be too late. And that's the concept we believe in. Thank you.